This is the brand new Sony RX1R III.
This is a compact, very high resolution 61 megapixel full frame sensor camera with a fixed lens.
Now the lens is gorgeous. It's a Zeiss 35mm f2 lens and it is fantastic. But it's the same lens that was in the previous generation of this camera, which is about a decade old now.
Yeah, people have been waiting a long time for this. We finally have it here. So today we're going to give you a quick look at what this camera is all about, some of the features it has, and some of the compromises that we're seeing as well. This highly portable and stylish camera has one thing about it that you might notice right away, and that is the price. We're talking $62.99 Canadian at the launch of this product.
Yeah, there certainly is some sticker shock when people are getting the price and going, wow, this $6,000, eh?
Yeah, and it's hard not to think about that premium price point when we're looking at the features of this camera. You know, it does tick a lot of boxes that we're going to get into. But first of all, let's talk about the design and style of this camera.
Now, the RX1 series has always been about very compact, high quality, walk around camera, and the Sony RX1R III certainly does that as well. It is relatively small and lightweight, coming in at, what, we're just 500 grams, just shy of that?
Yeah, just shy of 500 grams. And as you can see, it's not quite pocketable, of course, but it is very small. It's a camera that you could bring around with you everywhere. And we're going to get into a lot of the features and performance later on, but I like the stylish lines of this. It does have like a premium feel and look to it. All of the dials and everything also are like nicely knurled. Everything has that kind of high quality look.
Yeah, now I would prefer a little bit more deeper grip on this camera, but there are some accessories, which we can talk about in a little bit as well. But, you know, I think we're going to see some third parties come out with some much better grips for this camera.
Yeah, now we do have an EVF. This is very important, especially for still photographers. It is a 2.36 million dot EVF. Having a high resolution 61 megapixel sensor, I would have loved to see something a bit higher resolution, a bit more premium in the EVF, but having that EVF definitely is important for a camera like this. Now you might notice we also have a flush LCD screen. It is not an articulating or tiltable screen. It is just completely flush with the back of the camera.
Yeah, I mean, Sony made it really clear. This camera is all about size and making the highest quality, smallest camera that they can make. So they made some sacrifices. So the higher resolution viewfinder would have made the camera slightly bigger. Putting an articulating screen would have made the camera a little bit bigger. So these are these design choices and sacrifices. So you kind of have to live with that. You don't have the option.
Now, if we look to the left-hand side of the camera, we have a little flap here with all of your handy ports, USB-C for charging, as well as file transfer. We have a microphone jack as well as a micro HDMI. No surprises there.
Yeah, I mean, we also have the hot shoe on the top, which you can add some accessories to if you want to do that way with the whole Sony ecosystem. On the bottom of the camera, we do have a UHS 2 memory card slot, a single slot, and a battery. We have the FW50 battery, which is a bit of a surprise for me. I thought they'd go with the much bigger battery that's found in most of their cameras. And they would have increased the grip a little bit. I think they might have missed out a little bit on that part there.
Yeah, like if you were already integrated into the Sony ecosystem, how great would it be to be able to just swap your batteries, have an extra one? But in this case, you'd have to get separate extra batteries.
So interesting choice for Sony to keep the FW50 battery instead of the higher end battery.
Mm-hmm. Now, when we look at this camera, I also have to say that the interface and usability is really nice. We have the touch screen that you can operate both the menu as well as doing touch autofocus selection points. And I'm finding that the actual user experience of this camera is really nice. Again, we have that EVF. Everything feels very good. And I like the shutter button as well. It's stylish and very functional.
And silver.
And silver.
Yeah, now as far as the menu system goes and the functionality of the camera, there's not really any surprise here for me. If you've been using the latest generation Sonys, you're going to feel right at home. I mean, it's the same menu system. Everything works just the exact same way. So it's very good. They've improved upon it.
Yeah, now we have to mention that this camera is not weather sealed. I was a little surprised to see that. I mean, for a camera that you're paying such a high price point on, you would like to see some weather sealing, at least I would, especially when you have, you know, different weather conditions. You want to be able to bring this camera with you everywhere, but in this case, you do have to be a little bit more careful. Because this is a fixed lens camera, let's talk about this lens. This is the Zeiss Sonor 35mm f2 lens.
Now, I love a 35mm lens, especially one that's relatively fast, and f2 certainly is one of those, and the image quality is fantastic out of this lens. There's no doubt about it. It's not an updated version from the previous RX1, but it doesn't need to be. It's not broken. It is a great lens to start with.
Yeah, there's no distortion. You know, it's a good slice of life kind of lens. And it is sharp, you know, there's not a lot of issues with this lens at all. And so I'm not surprised that they're using an older lens that we saw in the predecessor.
Yeah, now it does have an aperture ring. It is a clickable aperture in third stop increments, and you can go from f2 all the way to f22. Now it is a very quality, gorgeous lens. I like the image quality out of it, and if you want to protect that lens, it does have a 49mm filter thread.
Yeah, the bokeh on this lens is nice too. You have good separation of your background, it being f2. You don't have some of the modern features that we're seeing in like Sony G Master lenses. You don't have like focus hold buttons. You don't have the declickable feature, that kind of thing. But for a nice walk around stills lens, this is fantastic. It's a very good pairing, especially with the 61 megapixel sensor. I think it's resolving detail quite well, and we're pretty happy with it. And then from a performance standpoint, you know, the autofocus system is working well with this lens. And being that 35mm focal plane, it's not really difficult for it to keep up with autofocus.
Yeah, and the one thing to add to the flexibility of this camera, much like some other competitor camera, you have the ability to go into macro mode on this lens. So you can switch from 0.3 to infinity, or all the way down to 0.2 meters to 0.35 meters at the flick of a dial at the front here.
One little flick.
One little flick, and you can start shooting a little bit closer up, and it's kind of cool to have that ability to play with. This makes the camera that much more flexible because you are a fixed lens.
Yeah, now let's talk a bit about the performance as well as the video specs on this camera. Another important feature is that this has a leaf shutter, which can get you up to 1/4000th of a second in sync speed. So if you're doing flash photography, I think that is super cool, a nice handy feature to have for sure. And let's get into the performance of this. Now from the autofocus standpoint, it's pretty rock solid. I mean, we have 693 phase detection autofocus point, we have real-time tracking, we have the machine learned built profiles in the camera. So this is gonna give you a good autofocus experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it for quite a while now, how we are so spoiled with the autofocus of it. It almost seems overkill on a camera like this. You expect to use it on, you know, cameras with much bigger zooms or whatever else. It almost seems a bit almost overkill on a camera like this, but it tracks people's faces unbelievably well.
Yeah, very reliable. And if you are someone that wants to have different framing, cropping options like you see in, you know, the Leica Q3, for example, or the Fujifilm camera that's become kind of popular, we are seeing an option to go into either 50mm or 70mm, so you can visualize what your end result is going to be like.
Yeah, and you're certainly going to get a bit of a crop if you're saving it as a JPEG, but it is kind of a cool feature to be able to make more use of this sensor resolution.
Now, I think there are some cues here that this isn't necessarily meant to be like a super fast action, like sporty sport camera or anything like that. We're shooting up to 5 frames per second maximum. And same thing goes on the video side of things as well. Although we are getting 10-bit 422 footage up to 30p, and you can get into like slow motion and full HD, but otherwise, you know, this is kind of meant to be more of a stills camera, I really feel.
100%. I mean, the fact that they made the aperture a clickable only aperture, not a clickable or declickable like many other lenses are, it really says, hey, we're kind of thinking of this more as a stills camera, and they don't have IBIS as well, which is a big oversight, I think, as well.
Well, yeah, it just kind of positions it as being more of like the walk around everyday life, you know, still photography camera, getting super high resolution images, that kind of thing. So if you're kind of more of like a hybrid shooter, then this probably isn't going to be the camera for you. But I do have to say that, again, from like the image quality standpoint, and for this camera being something that is going to be kind of niche for people that want just like super high resolution, they want something that is very portable and is going to give them a lot of kind of like that look and aesthetic that they want from this type of lens.
All right, Evelyn, so we've had it for a little bit of time here. What are your first impressions of this brand new camera?
Yeah, where I think this camera has the strength of just being like an everyday carry camera that you can bring around with you everywhere. I think that it has, you know, the nice lens on it. It's easy to use. It has that Sony experience, but it is kind of more niche. You know, what I think this camera does for me is it really draws attention to the value of the interchangeable lens camera with the same sensor, the Sony A7CR. Now that's what I'm talking about in terms of having a camera that has that same kind of resolution, a lot of the same features, but you're going to gain a better viewfinder, in-body image stabilization, and interchangeable lenses.
There is a lot of compelling facts when you talk about it like that, and I certainly see myself leaning more towards the A7CR over top of this camera. But if you want the smallest, lightest weight camera that's full frame with high resolution, this is it. But there's some serious competition on the market as well, with some serious price points as well.
Yeah, now is it worth that price point? I mean, that's for you to decide. And of course, we want to know, what do you think, by letting us know by commenting below.
And do you wish they had an articulating screen and a better quality viewfinder? and a bigger battery. Follow us both on Instagram.
And if you're new to our channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's been Dave and Evelyn from the Camera Store. We'll catch you again very soon.
Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching this first look of the Sony RX1R III. If you want to check out more of our recent content, click up here. And if you're Canadian, you want to shop local, check out thecamerastore.com down here.